everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Doodling Through Education. For my CC students, this is Cycle 1, Week 10, History. For everyone else, that just means that we're talking about the Heian Period, which will then lead us into talking about shoguns and who these people were. So if you haven't already, go ahead and head on over to doodlingthrougheducation.com. There's a link in the description if you need it. There are worksheets that go along with each of these videos. There's 4 worksheets per subject per week. And I've also divided them by quarters. So since we're into the second quarter, if you just need to get a quarter's worth of worksheets, you can do so there. And without further ado, let's start doodling. Today, we are going to be talking about the Heian period. This period in Japan's history was approximately 4 centuries long. Many things changed during this period, which makes it very interesting to study and important for Japanese culture. This all began in the year 794, when the Japanese emperor moved the capital to Heian. Now, this is present-day Kyoto and was renamed that in the 11th century. This city remained the capital of Japan all the way until 1868. And so the moving of the capital to Heian was a very important thing in Japanese history. Now, traditionally, Japan was ruled by an emperor, and when that emperor passed away, he would pass on his leadership to his eldest son. And if his eldest son was too young to rule, then it would be passed on to a regent until his son was old enough to rule on his own. However, there was a noble family at this time, and they were the Fujiwara clan, and they had a plan to gain control of Japan and solidified their power through many strategic marriages into the imperial family. And the patriarch of this family was able to become regent, and this really helped this clan to become powerful politically. Now, the Fujiwara clan held this power for almost 300 years, and because of this, many things changed in Japan. Some of the things that changed in Japan during this time were literature, poetry, art, and architecture. These really began to flourish during this time, and what we see as a distinct Japanese style in these areas really took shape during the Heian period. Now, this is a good time to talk about the feudal system because Japanese society was organized in this manner. And the feudal system is a system in which there is a hierarchy in society. And so on the bottom are the peasants, and the peasants often served the knights, and the knights would then serve their lords. So these knights were known as samurai warriors, and their primary job was to be a soldier and to work for their lords, who were typically landowners that were quite wealthy. The samurai warriors followed specific rules called the Bushido, or this can be translated to the way of the warrior. And this was a very important thing to the samurai warriors to follow. And it was really a rule of chivalry. And it even demanded that if these warriors were captured, they must sadly commit suicide. One of the main reasons the samurai warriors served their lords was because they received many things from them. They primarily often received land from them, and in return, they served them loyally. Samurais are characterized by the armor that they wore, as well as the type of warfare that they practiced. They often would live in wooden castles as well, but they are often seen in art as wearing armor and are often depicted as men who loyally practiced warfare but would not fight unless absolutely necessary. And because of this, during times when there was no war, the samurai would take on many different types of pursuits, and one of them being a form of poetry called haikus. They were also known to design beautiful gardens and even learned how to dance and painted. Now, by the late 12th century, the imperial court had become pretty isolated, and the Fujiwara clan really took complete control. Well, civil war erupted in 1180, and shoguns, or military commanders, were able to gain complete control of Japan in 1185. So, who were the shoguns of Japan? Well, they were those military commanders. This changed Japanese culture because the emperor of Japan became more of just a placeholder or a face in public, where the shoguns were the ones who controlled all of the important government procedures and policies. This was chaotic because when the shoguns ruled over Japan, this created a period of time where they fought each other a lot to try and control specific areas. And so the government was unsteady at this time. Despite this, Japan was very powerful, and Kyoto, or Heian, was a very large city with almost 500,000 people in it. And so this shows that the Heian period wasn't just a time of cultural refinement, but it was a time of a gradual shift in power and this rise of the warrior class, or the samurai, and the shoguns. Specifically, a shogun named Yoritomo was able to rule and obtain the highest military rank and begin his rule during this time. It also was a period of time that helped Japan to really settle into feudalism. And that's all we have for today. So I would really like you to go through those 4 worksheets and really just jump in a little bit further into understanding this period in Japanese history. And on that note, remember to be kind, follow God's will, and take care.